Today on the Eurostep.
We gave you the best preview. Now it's time for the best review of the 2018 NBA Draft.
In the world. Hi, I'm Oisin Brown and this is the Eurostep on CRC. I'm joined by Alex Evans.
Congrats to Woj for winning the draft.
And who is Shams?
Who that is that guy?
Okay, so we are just going to look at everything that happened in the lottery of the NBA draft before maybe looking at the best of the rest.
Lottery extended.
Exactly. We'll start
Lottery
with
plus others.
we will start with the number one pick. Everyone knew what was going to happen. I don't think anyone was shocked. DeAndre Ayton to the Phoenix Suns, Alex.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think it's a surefire move. They could have taken a risk. Doncic, maybe some people thought, could have been going to the Phoenix Suns, especially when we thought we were onto something when Phoenix changed their Twitter name to have the little accent over the S, much like Doncic has over his C. You know, that might be something, but obviously it wasn't. Phoenix taking Ayton, probably one of the safer picks you could have gone. Yeah, with Doncic, that could have been phenomenal, but it could have been. It might not have been as well. Ayton is going to work really well with that team. They need a big man. They have Alex Len and Dragon Bender, but they're not great. I think Ayton really could be phenomenal in this league. Down low, he's a monster, and he's extending his game outside. Even in college, we saw him shooting a few threes. And a lot of people are comparing him to Joel Embiid, and if you can get the next Joel Embiid with the number one pick, you take that.
That being said, Joel Embiid came out with the best non-Woj tweet of the night, saying, "Please don't compare me to Ayton. I can play defense in all caps."
People looking into that too much. Ayton and Embiid were working out. They're obviously good friends. They know each other. Joel Embiid, obviously, the big troll, Joel Embiid. But that's just lighthearted banter, I think.
Yeah, and Ayton says that he can play defense when he tries. So maybe it brings up a question of his character, and maybe it shows that we have a lot more to see from DeAndre Ayton. I guess we will have to find out when he's playing in the NBA. But he's definitely one of the highest ceilings of the players, and he's certainly NBA ready now. I don't think it'll take him too long to get adjusted. The second pick was the Sacramento Kings, and they chose Marvin Bagley III, Alex.
They chose to ruin poor Marvin Bagley's career. Hasn't worked out really with the Kings, their last numerous draft picks. Just a few off the top of my head: Ben McLemore, Jimmer Fredette, DeMarcus Cousins. That worked out great. Buddy Hield wasn't fantastic. There's just so many names. Going back further, there's more and more. I just can't think of them, I know. But Marvin Bagley, I think the Kings should have taken a risk here and gone with someone else. Bagley looks like he could be an athletic frontcourt player. He's kind of limited. He's not as big as Ayton or even the likes of Bamba. He's a 4, listed as a 4, can play the 5 as well. I have a bad feeling about this pick. I feel like Bagley could be just kind of a whatever player. He could be good, but he's not going to have the skills. Like, he's a good player, but he's not fantastic at anything. Ayton is big, he's a great, you can do a little bit of everything. Doncic is a great passer and great scorer. Trae Young is just a phenomenal shooter. Bagley's just good at it. Like, he's good, but I don't think he's great.
I feel like if Bagley doesn't work out, that'll very much cost the GM his job. We've seen the Reddit pages, of the Sacramento fans almost turning into a Luka Doncic cult. The Ringer put it best. They really, really wanted Doncic in Sacramento, but they didn't go for him. But they're still confident that Marvin Bagley is a franchise-leading player. I'm not so convinced, but I'm sure that he has that potential. But I don't know if he can.
He's going to reach it. It's another thing.
Exactly. Speaking of Luka Doncic, he went third. It was originally the Hawks' pick, but they traded down to fifth, which gave the Dallas Mavericks Luka Doncic. Alex, what do you make of this?
They were reports. Woj said it before the draft took place that this deal could happen. There was potential that the Mavs really, really liked Doncic. They thought he was going to be the next transcending European player, much like Dirk Nowitzki, and Dirk Nowitzki is probably going to be his last year next year. I think that's going to be some storyline for Doncic to learn under Dirk as he bids farewell, and Doncic can really take over that team. And reports that Mavericks like their chances with DeMarcus Cousins next year. They could be building a great team even for next year in Dallas. With Dennis Smith Jr., who's only going to improve. He was taken last year with Luka Doncic. Looks like he's going to be one of the best players coming straight into the NBA. Then you got Harrison Barnes, Dirk Nowitzki, and DeMarcus Cousins. That could be a scary team going forward.
Absolutely. I feel like if they can get Cousins or even DeAndre Jordan this summer, they'll be almost a surefire playoff team anyway. Don't know how much they can get beyond that, but you know, when you have two young players in Doncic and Smith Jr., you're definitely going to have lots to look forward to beyond this season. Pick number 4 was the Memphis Grizzlies, and they went for Jaren Jackson Jr. Woj tweeting before the pick went in that Jaren Jackson wouldn't mind going to the Memphis Grizzlies in comparison to some of the other players who specifically told the Grizzlies that they didn't want to be drafted by them, they wouldn't give them medical reports or workouts. I feel like this is the best pick for both teams.
Yeah, I think Jaren Jackson's going to fit in with that team well, their kind of culture, their grit and grind. He's going to has potential, a lot of people saying, to be the best player in this draft. He has the tools. He's getting his jump shot a lot better. Down low, he's fantastic. He's a 4 or 5, depending on who you ask. He's just a phenomenal player, to be honest. He can do a little bit of everything. We mentioned in our draft review that he could be great, and to go forward to the Grizzlies, they could have a good team next year. Conley is coming back from injury. Marcus Gasol is still going to be there. They have Jaren Jackson now to add. That could be a pretty good front court, and you think maybe if they can get one more decent piece in free agency to add to their young guys that were playing well last year, like the like of Dylan Brooks, that could be a pretty good team going forward, much like the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J, he does have maybe a bit more bust potential than some of the other players Memphis could have taken, but I feel like it might have been too much of a risk going for some of the other players.
And I think they were kind of locked into this pick. We saw Mo Bamba said he didn't want to play for them, along with a few other guys, and then you're looking down the line, they're not really going to want to take Trae Young either. Wendell Carter is a center, you don't need a center, and then you're looking down the next non-guys, Kevin Knox or Miles Bridges down there, so I think they were slightly inclined to take Jackson.
Well, providing they wanted to keep their pick at 4.
Yeah, I'd say they was definitely looking into deals to offload Chandler Parsons, but I don't think anyone wants him.
The 5th pick was Trae Young, which was a result of the trade between Atlanta and Dallas. So Trae Young is going to be playing for the Atlanta Hawks this coming season. What do you make of this, Alex?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Obviously, the Hawks showed interest in him throughout the whole year. One of their members in their front office was with the Warriors when the time they wanted Steph Curry. I think they want Trae Young because he has so much Steph Curry potential. He looks just like Curry for a lot of his college highlights. But that being said, 5th, no one really expected that. When Quavo said it, everyone was kind of, yeah, whatever. They have Dennis Schroeder, which maybe means that he could be out the door because they're both point guards, playmakers. I don't think either of them really want to slot over to the 2 position. That wasn't really getting talked about much during the draft, but Dennis Schroeder is a good point guard, and he's without a doubt the best player in Atlanta right now, and Trae Young isn't big enough really to play the 2, I don't think, so it's going to be a weird one, something that is going to have to happen in Atlanta.
Obviously Dennis Schroeder has made it clear that he doesn't want to play for Atlanta, and he made that clear before it looked like Trae Young was coming. Even if they went for a big, it didn't look like Schroeder was going to stay. So I suppose giving the reins over to Trae Young, who could end up being absolutely amazing. Maybe he might end up being the next Jimmer Fredette. We don't know. I don't see that happening. I still think that even if maybe he doesn't reach his ceiling, that he'll still be a good player. It's great for him. to go to Atlanta where there's going to be no pressure on him. The team is pretty bad right now. They have good potential for a few years' time, but right now they're really not good at all. So I definitely think that for Trae Young, that this is the best move he could have gotten. So he's away from the spotlight and can just do his thing for the next couple of years. The next pick, some will definitely consider this a steal after his rising draft stock over the past fortnight. Mo Bamba, the man with the nearly 8-foot wingspan, going to the Orlando Magic, who maybe didn't think they'd get Mo Bamba. It looked like they're maybe looking at someone else, whether that was Young or Michael Porter Jr. But Bamba is the man they've gone for, and I think they can be very happy with this pick, Alex.
Yeah, I think this could be a fantastic front court going forward with the athletic freak and Aaron Gordon, and then the equally athletic freak and Mo Bamba. Might not be as athletic, but his physique and his 8-foot wingspan, the two of them are going to lock down the paint. Mo Bamba was working out with Embiid as well, working on his 3-points and his post moves. He's going to be a scary prospect. Once he puts on a few more pounds and really gets just built, it's going to be almost impossible to guard Mo Bamba. He's so big. He'll just be able to turn around and just throw it in early.
Yeah, and his defensive presence is on another level as well. I actually saw a video where he was playing with children. I'd say they're maybe 10 or 11 years old. He was blocking all of them and had no chill whatsoever.
One went through his legs.
Genius. That's
although I don't think anyone in the NBA is going to do that unless Nate Robinson makes a comeback.
I mean, Isaiah Thomas could duck. But then he might damage his hip again. It's not really the best. Anyway, pick 7 of the Chicago Bulls. They went for Wendell Carter Jr. Another good pick, maybe not the one a lot of people were expecting. A certain Michael Porter Jr., who we'll talk about later. We really thought that he could be the one going to the Bulls, or Trae Young if he'd fallen that far.
Yeah, Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be a solid pick. But I saw an interesting tweet. It was, the Bulls team at the minute is Chris Dunn at the 1, Zach LaVine at the 2, Larry Markin at the 4, and now Wendell Carter at the 5. That's solid. You might be wondering why there was so much talent, on the wings in this draft, especially at 7, with the likes of Knox, Bridges, the 2 Bridges, and Michael Porter Jr. are still available. But next year, there's a lot of talent at the same position, the shooting guard / small forward, wing players. So they could be looking towards next year, the Bulls, and thinking, that get the talent at the big man spot while they still can, and try and build a good all-around team. It's not a bad pick. I think he's going to be a good player for them, and they have a solid young core now. Those 4 players I mentioned, they're going to grow together. I think the Bulls could be a great team in the next few years. I like this pick.
Yeah, very interesting, I suppose. Yeah, looking at the amount of quality bigs in this draft compared to next year, the only real one is Ball, who's currently projected 5th. All the others seem to be much more, wings, couple point guards. But Wendell Carter probably will be the right pick for the Bulls going for a centre. Very well-rounded young team now. It'd be very scary in a few years' time if they fulfill their potential.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Pick 8, Cleveland Cavaliers, which they got from Brooklyn in the last year's trade with Kyrie Irving. They drafted point guard Con Sexton. Maybe again, looking at Michael Porter Jr., a lot of people thought that he might be the one that they go for. But Con Sexton, point guard. Apparently LeBron is a big fan of Con Sexton, even though we're under the assumption that they weren't planning on drafting Sexton to keep LeBron, because I don't think Sexton is the kind of player who will single-handedly keep LeBron in Cleveland.
And because I don't think he's going to work with LeBron, especially right off the bat, if your whole goal is to try and keep LeBron James, you've got to look for Mikal Bridges or take the risk with Michael Porter Jr., even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. has a better shot than Colin Sexton. He's not going to be able to shoot straight away, and you can't have your point guard not being able to shoot, especially when you're playing with LeBron James. You need all 4 players anyways to be able to shoot, because you're going to have Tristan Thompson at the 5. There's not going to be enough spacing for LeBron. He won't like that.
Yeah, there's actually I thought that there was a chance that Colin Sexton might have actually dropped out of the top 10. He'd been kind of projected top 10 almost the entire way through, but with the rising stock of Kevin Knox and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I thought maybe Colin Sexton would have been the one to drop out of the top 10, but no, he's gone at 8, and I think that he'll be happy anyway.
And you also thought that Michael Porter Jr. was going to fall to 6 to the Magic after the trade went down, but
well, I thought that they might take that risk, because I'm it looked like they had their heart set on Trae Young. But obviously, when he went to the Hawks at 5, I thought, they might just take a risk because they had the curveball. But they showed resolve. They went for maybe the safer pick in Bamba, and I don't think they can. Yeah, I would be complaining if I were a Magic fan, which luckily I'm not. Pick number 9, the New York Knicks went for Kevin Knox, a man whose draft stock went up massively in the last couple of weeks. He looked like he might just edge lottery for a while, but now he's gone at 9. The player from Kentucky, I believe. He looks like he could be a very solid player, and I think that New York might well be the right place for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a superstar personally, just because the fact that the New York Knicks fans booed him, much like they did with Porzingis. They were chanting, "We want Porter," and they went out and selected Kevin Knox, and they weren't too happy with that pick. He could be a solid pick. He was with Kentucky. He had a lot of help with Kentucky. It's the only thing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and others. It's kind of a whatever pick. I think he's going to be a good player, but much when a player like Porter has fallen so hard, and the way you're a big market, he could blow up there if he's good. Kevin Knox might be a good player, but you got to take the risk there with the franchise-changing player in Porter who is still on the board.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how Kevin Knox works with Frank Ntilikina, the French guy. They have good guards with maybe the potential to be better. I suppose Kevin Knox can play on the wing as well a bit, is kind of anywhere between point guard and small forward. But with the players that are there, it'll be interesting to see how he works, if he will work in New York, or if he or one of the other players alongside him has to move for that pick to work. Number 10 was the pick that the Philadelphia 76ers had originally. Before trading, it was probably the funniest moment of the first round, going for Mikal Bridges. Before he was traded to the Phoenix Suns, he was traded as he was talking about how happy he was to be in his hometown, Alex.
Yeah, the Philly native. His mom works with the Sixers team in the HR department. He played for Villanova in Philadelphia. It was. I can't understand this move from the Sixers. Not only from the fact that you broke this young man's heart, but Mikal Bridges could have been the perfect fit. Obviously, I'm gonna say it for every pick from now on. Michael Porter Jr. was still on the board, and people talking about if they had taken Jason Tatum in last year's draft instead of Markelle Fultz. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the closer things to Jason Tatum we have in this draft. But even I like the pick of Mikal Bridges. He's a 3-and-D type guy. A lot of people comparing him to Robert Covington, who was already on the Sixers. He could play the 2. Have Simmons 1, Covington 3, Sarge the 4, and Embiid the 5. That's a good team. But I can't understand why you would trade him away. They traded him. They swapped with the Phoenix Suns at 16, and the Sixers end up acquiring Zahir Smith, who is a small forward. Can play the 2 as well. You could play Rocco there, but I really like the pick of Mikal Bridges. Whatever about Porter, Mikal Bridges fitted in with Philadelphia. It was a good storyline. Everything was going well. I can't understand why they go through with that trade. Fantastic for Phoenix's point of view, but I can't understand it from Philadelphia.
And yeah, we'll talk about it from the Phoenix perspective in a few minutes' time. But now we'll go to pick 11, which is originally the Charlotte Hornets with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who they then swapped with the LA Clippers for Miles Bridges. Do you think maybe Gilgeous-Alexander might have worked better in Charlotte than Bridges?
No, they didn't really need a point guard. I think Clippers had their eyes. They really wanted Gilgeous-Alexander, and they obviously reached out. Hornets weren't going to take him, so the Hornets kind of finessed them a little bit, got 2 free picks out of it. I'd imagine they were taking Miles Bridges anyways. They have Kemba Walker at the 1. I don't think, unless they were sure they were going to trade him, I don't think the Hornets would have needed Gilgeous, and Bridges kind of fits better there. They need a wing player like that, and Bridges can do a little bit of everything for you, so a good move for the Hornets. And for the Clippers likewise. I think that Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a good point guard for them going forward.
Yeah, good moves if you pretend that Michael Porter Jr. didn't exist.
Yes.
But
well, not so much that move, it's the next Clippers move, that pretending that Michael Porter doesn't exist.
Yeah, pick number 13, Jerome Robinson of Boston College. He is a shooting guard. He played shooting guard, but really he has maybe a more of a point guard orientated skill set. And as somewhat of a Clippers fan, I had serious issue with this move. Nothing wrong with Jerome Robinson. I was reading up on him after the pick. His stock had risen, but just taking from the ringer, even though they did see, I suppose, these positives, his defensive deficiencies still left him outside their top 20 in their mock. I think when you've 2 picks there, I think surely you have to take a risk on one of them and go for Michael Porter Jr.
Who, if the draft was taken this time last year, Michael Porter Jr. is without question going number 1, if not, top 3 without question. You've got to take that risk. He has so much upside on both sides of the court. He said himself he's a mix between Durant and Giannis. He's going to be so determined, especially after falling that far. And when you have 2 picks, no one's going to remember, even if you make a mistake on one of them. You got to take one risk at least, especially when it's a position that you need on a wing. They have Tobias Harris and not much else. They have a lot of guards for the Clippers, but I just can't understand why you don't take him.
Obviously, it's going to be not exactly easy for them to hold on to Tobias Harris. His contract expires next year, and he's going to get paid next year. Even though he hasn't been amazing in LA so far, he'll still definitely get a good payday, and I don't know if the Clippers are going to give it to him. But to sign essentially, or to draft 2 point guards, when you already have Lou Williams, Pat Beverly,
Austin
Rivers, it just makes no sense. You really have to wonder what they were thinking. Now, look, they do have Jerry West, and I have said, that I have a bit of faith in the logo, but it's really testing the resolve of a lot of Clippers fans right now, I'm sure.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Now, pick number 14. A lot of people had a deep sigh of relief after this one.
He didn't fall out of the lotto.
Just about. When Woj tweeted just before the draft started that the Clippers and Nuggets were preparing themselves for the possibility that Michael Porter Jr. could fall down to them, myself and Alex laughed it off. We thought, this is
not a chance.
Not
if he does, we can quote the group chat exactly. He said, "Oh my God, if he does, I swear this isn't going to happen. No way, fake news." Something along those lines. But here we are, and even we said, even if he does fall that far, there's no way LA don't take him at one of their 2 picks. But here we are. Michael Porter Jr. is member of the Denver Nuggets, went 14, and I just, what a move, I'd say. I don't think the Nuggets, Woj said they were preparing themselves. I don't think they were taking that all that seriously themselves, to be honest. Obviously, there was serious problems with his medical, but even still, the amounts of upside he has. At 14, it's fair to say that even he has the most potential in the draft. With all these, there's going to be superstars in this draft. Porter has the potential to be the best one. He said that himself. He wants to be the best pick that Denver has ever picked. Even though they took Jokic in the second round, it's going to be hard to upset that. But even if he can become a good player, they have Murray now, Harris, Porter, they have Millsap at the 4, and Jokic at the 5. That's going to be a deadly team even next year, and I'm sure Porter is going to help them propel them towards the playoffs.
Yeah, this move could take the Nuggets from a playoff team to a championship team in the next 3 seasons. I genuinely believe that's how good this pick is. Michael Porter is just, he has the potential to be that good. His medical said, quoting Brian Windhorst here, that there is an 80% chance that he is restored to his full ability. Look, you can take that 20%, which all the other medical teams after maybe Orlando Magic did, and Alex was telling me earlier that an unnamed team in the 20s were also going to pass on Porter if he went down that far.
And the Wizards at 15 were also prepared to pass on Porter if he fell.
Imagine if he'd gone to the Suns or even the Spurs. Like,
would have been phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Michael Porter Jr. on the Spurs.
But like, if you look at the Suns, they would have just been a complete 1 to 5. They were there. They were finished. Like,
that
I mean,
was ultimate draft if they get Porter.
Ultimate. Absolutely, unless they
would have liked to see them trade their pick as well, even gone up. When the Clippers, maybe look, the trade might have gone down already between them and Sixers. I think it had. No, it wouldn't have. It was in there somewhere, but you know the Suns, I think they could have been looking up to Porter maybe. Take that risk.
Yeah, Troy Brown went 15-2. The Wizards, there's not really too much to talk about there. Kind of, okay pick. We'll go to pick number 16, which was the Suns, which they ended up getting Mikal Bridges with. But let's talk about that one, Alex Smith.
Yeah, Zaire Smith, I'm not going to lie to you, I wouldn't be the biggest advocate on him just because I don't really know that much about him. I know he's a small forward. He's going to be probably a good player, but I love the pickup of Mikal Bridges for the Phoenix Suns. He's going to fit in well. You got Booker now, along with you've got Peyton, Booker, Bridges. You've got TJ Warren and Josh Jackson, and now DeAndre Ayton down low holding it down. That's a pretty good team. It's small ball. Everyone can kind of shoot. Mikal Bridges is going to be a perfect 3-and-D player for that team. And I can really see him being a kind of Klay Thompson-esque for that team. As well for the kind of the Kobe and Shaq that Booker and Ayton saying they're going to be. I have a good feeling that Mikal Bridges could be the Robert Horry for them.
Yeah, looking down, we'll just go quickly through the rest of the first round. Dante DiVincenzo to the Bucks,
Great pick.
Great pick. Apparently the Warriors were looking at him had he fallen down that far, which he never was going to be fair, but I think a very solid pick for the Bucks. They've gotten a good scorer to take some of the load in this new team basketball off of Giannis. I think it's a great pick, especially with the new coach. 18, we didn't think this guy'd fall down so far. It's Lonnie Walker the fourth going to the San Antonio Spurs.
I love this pick personally. I think him and DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker is kind of Donovan Mitchell, Dwayne Wade. He's drawn comparisons to him and DeJounte Murray together. Could be one of the scariest backcourts in the league with their length, athleticism, and defense.
Yeah, just 2 more picks I'd like to talk about in the first round is the LA Lakers getting Wagner at 25. They didn't think he'd fall down that far, so it's a great pick for them. He's kind of looking more around the Timberwolves, Jazz sort of 2021. Apparently he's a very solid 3-and-D sort of guy.
3-4 kind of player. He was big for Michigan in the Final Four.
Yeah, they'll be very happy with that. And Robert Williams to the Boston Celtics at pick number 27. Another pick that, they didn't think it'd come down. He'd come down so far, but he has. And now the big man that they wanted, he may not be to the level of your Aytons and your Bambas, but he's certainly a very good player. In their eyes anyway. And
that's a great pick, and Terry Rozier found it out live from Danny Ainge, as we saw. But one of my favourite picks is probably Grayson Allen going 21 to the Jazz. He's a great player. He did it for college after his 3 years. He's going to fit in right in. And the Jazz are building a good team up there in Utah, Salt Lake City. They're just a plethora of good role players now. You've got your 2 superstars in Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And then you have Ricky Rubio, Grayson Allen, Joe Ingles, Jay Crowder, and so many more other guys.
Yeah, actually, right now, I'm actually looking at a pick I didn't even notice until this moment. Now that we're looking at the second round, Kyrie Thomas went 38th, 8th pick of the second round. He looked like he was... I said after the Porter pick that he's going in the next 5 picks. How wrong was I, Alex?
Yeah, almost as wrong as when you said Porter was going 6.
Yeah, now that pick that was traded. I think it was traded to the Hawks.
Alex is on the move already. Sixers trade number 38 pick Kyrie Thomas to Pistons.
Let's see. Okay. Still though, I didn't think he'd fall down that far, and I think the Pistons will be very happy to have Kyrie Thomas in their team next season. Definitely adding, I think Dwayne Casey could be the man to get the best out of him. A very good shooter. Yeah, another player didn't think fall down so far was...
2 future second round picks to the Sixers for Kyrie Thomas.
Not bad. Bates Diop went to the Minnesota Timberwolves at pick 48.
Man, was Jay Billis is wrong with his top 10 talents available. Kyrie Thomas and Bates Diop were both in the top 10.
They weren't originally. They were after a few picks had gone.
That's what I was just about to say. I think after about...
After 5 or 6, maybe.
Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe 8 or 9. Anyways, without question, they were in it. But both of them falling far.
And Alice, pick number 60, Mr. Irrelevant. Kostas Antetokounmpo. Obviously, we talked about him in our draft preview, the brother of Giannis. I didn't think he'd fall down so far, but I'm really not surprised that he did get drafted. I think he is worth the risk. He probably isn't NBA ready right now. I think he'll spend some time in the G League and build his body up a bit before he's ready for the NBA. But I think when he does get to that level, he'll be a very solid role player.
Yeah, and the best player in this draft not actually getting drafted in LiAngelo Ball, would you believe?
I'm very surprised, but fingers crossed he will get signed as an undrafted free agent. The Lakers and the Warriors are reportedly very interested. Any other picks you'd like to talk about, Alex? Nope. Well, I suppose that's it. So until next year's NBA draft, we'll probably start previewing that next week for the crap.
Make sure we get all them in.
Yeah. Actually, just before we go, I'd like to talk about Draft Express's first mock draft for this draft, which was 2 years ago. They went for DeAndre Ayton number 1. I think they had Porter 2nd, Doncic 3rd. They obviously Bagley was looking at 2019 at the time, but I think they had the top 5 or 6 more or less right. It was very interesting to see just how much how little the top 5 changed in the first couple of years, Alex.
Yeah, without a doubt, Draft Express seem to have got that one pretty well down. The top 5 talents, there's some great players up there, so no real surprise.
It was obviously Jonathan never really gets these things wrong. He's on the point all the time. Can only imagine the amount of research he puts in. It's actually Ayton 1st, Bamba 2nd, Doncic 3rd, Carter 4th, and Porter 5th. Not too far off the mark at all. Very impressive. So that's all from our draft review 2018. Make sure to like and subscribe to Team Eurostep on YouTube. We're Team Eurostep on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, so give us a follow there. And of course we're Team Eurostep on Patreon as well, so if you enjoy our content, please become a patron. Until next time, it's going to be a goodbye from Alex.
Good luck.
And a goodbye from myself. Goodbye until next time. Keep grinding.